So, right after the high-profile conviction of Sean Diddy Combs, a really weird story started popping up. It involves his own legal team, a potential presidential pardon, and two lawyers who seem to be telling completely different stories. So what's really going on here?
Okay, so check this out. At the very center of all of this confusion are two of Combs' own attorneys. You've got Nicole Westmoreland telling one news outlet that, yeah, the team was talking about a pardon, but then you have the lead attorney, Mark Agnifilo, telling another outlet, nope, absolutely not. He says he's had conversations with nobody. I mean, how does that even happen? It's a wild contradiction from inside the same team, right?
A direct contradiction from the same legal team. So you've got to wonder, who's telling the truth here? Is it pardon being talked about, or is it not? Okay, let's dive in and try to actually solve this puzzle.
To get to the bottom of this, let's start with the lead guy, Mark Agnifilo, and see what he had to say after this whole thing blew up.
So, when he finally sat down for his first big interview after the verdict, Agnifilo did not mince words. He could not be clearer. His denial is just absolute. He says he hasn't talked to the president, hasn't talked to anyone who talks to the president about Sean Combs, period. End of story.
Okay, so if the main lawyer is saying, hey, it wasn't me, then you have to ask, where did this whole pardon story even come from in the first place?
And here's where it gets really interesting. According to Agnifilo, the person who brought it up was Sean Combs himself. Apparently, Combs heard all the news reports flying around about a possible pardon and basically told his lawyer, go tell him I need a pardon. Go tell him I deserve a pardon. So the whole idea seems to have come from Combs, not his lawyer.
And the White House? Well, they're not touching this one, calling it all just speculation. So here's the bottom line. Sean Combs might want a presidential pardon, but his lead attorney is making it crystal clear that he's not the one pursuing it.
So why is a pardon even on the table? To really get that, we need to back up a bit and look at what's actually at stake here, the verdict itself and the kind of prison sentence Combs is now looking at.
So Combs got hit with a conviction on 2 counts of violating something called the Mann Act. Now, this is an old law, goes back over 100 years. It makes it a federal crime to transport somebody across state lines for, prostitution or other illegal sexual activity. It's a serious charge, and definitely not something you hear about every day.
Now, looking at the verdict, it was kind of a mixed bag for him. The jury actually said not guilty on the really heavy charges. We're talking sex trafficking and racketeering. But they did find him guilty on those 2 Mann Act violations. So this was definitely not a total victory.
And make no mistake, those convictions are serious. Each one could get him up to 10 years in prison. So theoretically, he could be looking at 20 years. Now the prosecutors, for their part, are asking for something more in the 4 to 5 year range. But still, that's a long, long time to be behind bars.
And this isn't something happening way down the road. The clock is ticking. His sentencing is scheduled for October 3rd. And since he was denied bail, Combs will be staying in jail until that day, when he finds out exactly what his future holds. All right, so beyond the verdict and the sentence, one of the most talked about parts of this whole case was the defense strategy. I mean, it was controversial, to say the very least. It really got people talking.
So get this, the defense team, led by that same lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, actually described the relationship between Combs and the main witness against him, Cassie Ventura, as a great modern love story. And believe it or not, he even doubled down on that after the trial, basically saying that stuff like drug use and cheating were just part of a modern love story.
But wow, that love story narrative is just worlds apart from how Cassie Ventura herself described it on the witness stand. When she testified, she talked about just horrific things. Allegations of rape, of consistent physical abuse, and a drug addiction that she says was a direct result of her time with Combs.
So, as you can imagine, the other side was not having it. Cassie Ventura's lawyer, Douglas Wigdor, just slammed that love story defense. He called it a complete disgrace and an affront to survivors of domestic violence. I mean, it just shows you the huge chasm between the 2 stories that were told in that courtroom.
So, here we are. Sentencing is just around the corner. That whole pardon thing seems murky at best. So what's next for Sean Combs while he sits in that detention center in Brooklyn?
Well, according to his lawyer, he's doing a lot of reflecting. thinking about the blessings he's been given and his own imperfections. And, the lawyer says, his main focus right now is on his family. But even with the very real possibility of years in prison staring him down, it doesn't sound like his ambition has gone anywhere. And this is the last thing his lawyer shared, and it's pretty wild. He said, "He told me he's going to be back at Madison Square Garden." It's a defiant look towards the future, and it just kind of leaves all of us wondering, what is going to happen next?